Our guest today is a distinguished engineer, academic leader, and passionate advocate for women in STEM. Professor Elizabeth Jumoke Etherigho is an associate professor of chemical engineering and deputy director at the Federal University of Technology, NINA. She is a current registered engineer and a fellow of the Nigerian Society of Engineers and the Nigerian Society of Chemical Engineers. With nearly 30 years of teaching and research experience, a PhD in chemical engineering from Newcastle University, UK, and over 76 research publications, her work spans renewable energy, catalysis, and environmental engineering. Beyond academia, she is a strong voice for STEM education for the girl child, a former president of APWEN, and a leader behind impactful capacity building initiatives across Nigeria and beyond. A respected keynote speaker, mentor, and changemaker, Professor Elizabeth Etherigho stands at the intersection of engineering excellence, leadership, and social impact. We're honored to have her here with us today.
So our first question for today, Ma, beyond the profile which I just shared, or can you tell us more about yourself?
Okay, thank you very much. My name, like you said, Elizabeth Jumoke Etherigho. I am a chemical engineer, and because in engineering there's diversity, I'm also industrial production engineer. I graduated my first degree in 1991. Before then, I happened to school, my secondary school was in the north, Sokoto State, in Federal Government College, Sokoto, and I'm among the 83 sets. I finished from the university in 1991, and because as at that time, if you come out with a good CGPA, you are employed. So I was retained in the same institution where I lecture today. That's the same school I finished from, the same department. And I've been going through the rank to the position that I am today as an associate professor. I had my, my PhD in the UK. And when I was in the UK, being a determined lecturing to teach, you need to have some diploma in teaching. And I felt, it was an opportunity for me to obtain that in the UK. And since then, I've been in the academic environment. I've taken courses, petroleum, chemical, the courses that I could in practical, technical courses. And I'm an advocate of STEM. I've been a president of the Association of Professional Women Engineers of Nigeria. So, like today, by the grace of God, I'll tell you that I am to some extent grateful that I'm where I am as an engineer, not just an engineer, but a female engineer in a male-dominated environment, striving and succeeding. So I'm married, I have children. In fact, I'm a grandma now, by the grace of God. Coming into a male-dominated environment, I love to encourage, I have passion for encouraging female girls, female children to become what they want to be, particularly in STEM, leading them into engineering. It could be anything they want to be in science using STEM, but I love them to come into engineering because I found fulfillment in it. And I feel that what the men can do, the women can equally do it because we attend the same class, the same lecture, and we are human beings. But the difference is determination. So somebody who loves to speak about what people can do to improve their lives and how people can be mentored, you know, because actually these things are things that help in life. And like I said, in my CV, I'm an advocate of no street hawking. I've been in the north, and I've partnered with the state governor before now, the government of the state, and I've been able to have programs for the girls to stay off the streets. And that took the whole length of months, you know, for advocacy. And thank God it yielded results. And I see some of them today, they're in school. So, and I've seen, I also believe in capacity building women up. If you build a woman, you have built the whole nation. Because building the woman will tread down to the child or to the children, whether male or female. So I believe in building them and helping them wherever I can. That's me for you, and that is Elizabeth Etherigho. Thank you.
Thank you, Ma. That was a nice one. And yeah, you know, the woman is one key part of the family, which if removed, is more like the bond. Yeah, the woman is like the bond. She bonds the children and the father. She's one key element. She's key to sustaining and building any family. If you break the woman, you have broken the family. And my pastor usually say the woman is the last form of defense in any family, because the man is out there trying to provide, trying to do whatever. So if there is any strike, you will need to meet the woman before you meet the children. So if you can defeat her, if she's not well equipped for that defense, so it means there is going to be catastrophe. Just like in engineering, we say the last form of protection is your PPE. If you are not putting a good PPE, you are exposed to hazard. Yeah, so the same thing applies to the family.
Hazard.
If the woman is not well equipped, that family is exposed to hazard. Okay, looking at how far you
Yes.
have pursued in an advance in your degree, um, what is that significant financial commitment you made, and what strategy did you use before you started getting funding?
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. My first degree was funded by my parents and uncles. There were some of the challenges I had coming up, you know, because I actually lived with an uncle. I left my parents back in Lagos and I moved with my uncle, a military man. And you know, military men, they move from one state to the other, one state to the other. And that's how we kept moving, you know, moved from one place until we landed in Sokoto. And that was where I finished my secondary school in Sokoto then. So I had my parents and my uncle to sponsor my first degree. And when I finished, I was employed. So the second degree I had, which was industrial production engineering, I sponsored myself from my little salary that I had. And then I was married, so my husband supported me. And when I had needed to go for the second one, which is the one for chemical, I collected a letter for scholarship, sponsorship from the university. And because it's part of what they do to assist you to boost your qualification so that you can remain in the academia. My school fees was taken care of, but every other thing was from my own salary and my husband. And by the time I finished, I was to do my PhD. I started with an admission letter. I got admission from Uniben. And then I was to go full time. But the university did not release me because they said, no, we had fewer lecturers. And if you leave the school, the department will not be accredited because they don't have enough lecturers. So I was told to do the program right in the university there. But I wanted a diversification. I wanted, okay, my first degree was in the same school, my second degree the same school, so I needed to go out. And I got this PTDF. I'm a PTDF scholar. So I got PTDF in 2008 to do my PhD in the United Kingdom at the Newcastle University, Newcastle upon Tyne. So, and being a PTDF scholar, everything was paid for. The school fees, your upkeep, everything. Your flight ticket to and fro. If you needed to pick samples from Nigeria because of your experiments, you just communicate to the PTF and then they give you a ticket. And then you come with that, take the samples you want, and then you leave the country. Go back and finish. So I had full sponsorship from the PTDF. And that was why I said, when I saw that I could do the PGD teaching and advanced teaching and learning, it was like a free thing. Because why it was like a free thing for me was because of my performance doing my PhD. My supervisor said I need to take a course. And there's no way you can take a course in the UK without to do that course. And because he wanted me to do it, he said, go and enroll. So I did that. I didn't have to pay. Except maybe you just take care of your little things, maybe your transport to the campus where the program is being held. But I didn't have to pay for that. So I did that. Probably something was paid for what they were paying me because I was being paid stipends for teaching undergraduates. Yes, I was on salary that period in my school. So that was how God helped me financially to be able to get the degrees that I needed to take me to where I am today.
That's a lot, and that's actually the hand of God coming from someone that
Yeah,
parents had to assist, uncles had to assist to finish bachelor's degree, and here are multiple forms of funding to move forward.
exactly.
But in all of this, I am curious, what sparked that interest in education? Because some persons would have been comfortable or not even pick up the lecturing job, want to go into the oil and gas sector, something else. Like, what sparked that interest in academia in you?
Okay, thank you very much. That's a very good question, and I've always shared it with people, with students, young engineers, my students in class. I, because some of them said I didn't want to come to engineering. I didn't want to read chemical, or I wanted mechanical, or I wanted computer. Elect. And I tell them one thing: God had destined every one of us. We just that way. When I was doing my industrial attachment in my class, then we were just 9 of us, and we were doing sideways. That students' industrial work experience. It is 300 level during the holidays, and then we go for 400 level second semester. My first 300 level during the holidays, I did it in an industry. I worked textile industry. Then in Kaduna, Arewa Textile was working. And I had a good maker pass. How chemical is, a lot. I had good experience. Then when I was to do my sideways for 400 level second semester, I was at the NMPs, Kaduna. And when I was there for 6 months. That was the duration for the sideways. But interestingly, I stayed 7 months because I stayed 1 month extra. And I now saw the real practical of what I was taught in the class. And I saw that, oh, you can be a chemical engineer as a female, you can do what the male are doing. So I became interested. And one thing was, I never said I'm a female, I can't do this. No. We have the tower then that we had to go up to take the pressure at the top of the distillation column. You need to climb through the ladder and get to the top. Do you know I will go to the top because I will put on my coverall and you have your helmet. So, and I don't want somebody to say, oh, you don't do it because you're a female. No, you're an engineer, I'm an engineer. So there's no difference. And I was the boss then, who was my training officer. We sent me up to go and take reading. Of course, you'll be trained first of all before you do all those things. So while they are up there, I tell them, can I come along with you? They say, yes. Oh, come if you can. I said, why not? Because they say most ladies, they feel busy. So I will go and do what I'm supposed to do to a point that I could do it alone without them following me there. So I was already established in ARPC. And I knew I was coming to do my NYC in Kaduna. And then they will take me, I'll be posted to ARPC, that's Kaduna Refinery and Petrochemical. I'll be taken there where I'll do my NYC and then they will retain me. So I had settled for that. In fact, among all the students that came for the IT, in that set, I was the best. So when I had the boss, engineer, oh no. He said, Elizabeth, don't worry, just when you have come, just walk yourself to Kaduna, let NYC bring you there. And behold, Bauchi. Actually, I met a lot of people. The now, I can't remember his position now in PDP. We was one time Mansa minister, Jerry Ghana. I went with him because since I schooled in Mina, and that is where that's his state. So I was privileged to meet with him in the fellowship one day, and I told him, he gave me the notes to NYC commander. He gave me notes to people so that they could post me to Kaduna. If you are saying somebody has worked it, I had worked it. But God has given me a call-up letter. I said I was posted to Bauchi. I cried. I didn't want to go. But while I was in that mix of, being troubled, facing that challenge, how do I do it? Meaning I've gotten something I'm going to do, a job, and I want to work in the oil and gas. Lo and behold, I took my letter. I went straight to Bauchi. I've never been there before. And when I go to Bauchi, after our NYC, they posted me to a water treatment plant. And then they made me the manager. I had an official vehicle. I had a driver. So I said, okay, maybe God is using this to comfort me. So that was what actually happened. Then, because don't forget, I said when I was being a new department, the school has not stayed. I would like you to know that I'm the second set. I'm like a pioneer in that university. The university now is, I think, 40-something years now, because it was established in 1982, kicked off in 1983. So that's 40-something years. So you can imagine that in those days, we didn't have enough lecturers in engineering, particularly in chemical. So the HOD, who was us, myself, and a colleague called Olutoye, is a professor. And because we were the two best students for our sets, he said we should come back. I said, no, I don't want to come back. I don't want to lecture. Because to be sincere, there was nothing the salary of lecturers then. Nothing. So I said, no, I'm going to work a company. But by the time I finished lecturing, finished NYC, I went back home and I was ready for my marriage. And I finished 92 and I wedded. I finished 92 October. I wedded in December 92. The wedding gift that was sent to me by the HOD then, Professor K.R. Onifade is late now. He died last year to me. He sent M.A. Olutoye. He sent him with a gift to come and give me on my wedding day in Lagos. Guess what is in that gift? It was an employment letter to come and lecture, assistant lecturer in FUT Mina. So my parents said, why don't you look at it? Give it a chance and see. So that's how I became a lecturer. I resumed reluctantly. I'm telling you the truth. Oil and gas. That was what even made me to read chemical in the first place. Not because I want to lecture. But that was my plan. That wasn't the plan of God for me. So I just fell in line, and then I started lecturing, and that's why I am today lecturing. Moving from there to other places. I went to UK now, I lectured. So I've been moving, as I'm talking with you, I'm in the rest of Abuja. So I've been doing it and I'm enjoying it. That's why you find me in the academy. That I'm in academia, I'm not in the oil and gas. It will interest you to know that my first salary as a lecturer was 3,500. 3,500, yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Come again, please.
Yes, I said 3,000 against what figure were you being paid before in the oil and gas when you were there?
Oh, in the oil and gas then?
Yeah.
I wouldn't know, but they were well paid. You know, I'm sure, because I have a colleague of mine that went to Port Harcourt to do it. He was posted to Port Harcourt. And when he got to Port Harcourt, he found himself in NNPC. He just retired this year. He's going to be retiring in March. So he found himself in NNPC. And that's how he started working. So they started with hundreds, for example, maybe about 200 thereabout as at that time, or maybe 300. I don't exactly know. But as lecturer, we started together at my own end was 3,500 naira. Yes, as at that time, my cadre as an assistant lecturer, I was being paid 3,500. So if you had senior lecturer, associate professor, of course, theirs was higher than that. Maybe professor then should be taking home maybe something like 10,000 or something thereabout. I wouldn't know. But I only know that mind that I was taking home at that time. But of course, depends on your cadre and it depends on your step. That means your rank. But when I was doing my NYC, you know, sideways. Of course, a token will be given to you by sideways office. I think they were giving us like, was it 10,000 then? The time we were doing the sideways. And NNPC was also giving us fund. It was giving us stipends. NNPC, I think NNPC was one should be 10,000. Why the sideways was giving us, maybe it was 5,000 or 2,500 thereabout. But that sideways, which is from ITF, was monthly in a year.
So far, when you started, and I'm talking about the educational system now, when you started as an assistant lecturer and now, has there been a significant change in the system?
Yeah, there we have, you can see that there have been some significant changes in the system. For example, when I came in, I told you what and people that join now, I think they should be earning. If you join as assistant, has always been fighting, saying government should pay lecturers very well. Lecturers have really not been paid well. That's the truth. Whoever is on this planet Earth and you went to school, somebody taught you, and then the people that taught you are not well paid, and you get somewhere you are far well paid more than where you're supposed to be. So you discover that it is not right. So some things that I know that have gone that have improved is the take home. fairly is really nothing to write home about, even till now. You agree with me that federal government and ASU have always been on one hand, signing and not signing and all the things thereabout. So you struggle before you are considered, and you have a little increment in your salary. But it's not like it was in our days. They have maybe an assistant lecturer plus or 200 probably. But you agree with me that the naira had devalued a lot. That time that I was talking to you about when I came in, I could pay my house rent from that money. I could feed well from that money. But now, it's not like that. So I don't really know if things have improved as far as salary is concerned. But I want to talk about the lecturing aspect. Yeah, some have improved because you have more equipment now in some departments, and then you see schools, though some schools are still yet to meet up with what we actually need. And then another thing is discovered that more young people are in the universities now compared to before. So there have been some improvement to some extent, but it's relative. I say relative because the improvement does not match the societal need at all.
Yeah, what you just said now was the next question I wanted to ask. Because if we say there is improvement, and also while you were in the UK, can if you are to compare these two systems, what can you say? How bad is Nigeria educational system?
The truth is that the two are not on the same level. Nigeria education and UK are not on the same level. One, in terms of teaching methods. Two, in terms of students, feedback from students. Three, in terms of relationship between lecturers and students. And then in terms of the government to the universities. Because UK knows that education is one of their income earning, contributing to their GDP. So they don't joke with it. And then you have grants for lecturers. They don't struggle. Like when I was in school, I got my supervisor because of the research I was working on. I had good results and I was determined though. I fixed my head on that thing to make sure that at least something good, and I'm happy till tomorrow that something good came out of my research. So from that research, my supervisor got grants. And so all the traveling that I had to do, we went everywhere presenting the outcome of our research. I was sponsored. It wasn't PTDF money. It was from that grant that was gotten by my supervisor. You see, in Nigeria, we have some problems in teaching methods. We have problem in equipment. We have problem in government helping. We have problem in turning our research into products.
If we don't change our teaching method, we have there's what we call garbage in, garbage out. You can't
Yes.
give what you don't have. And if our educational system doesn't change,
You don't
we'll
have.
continue producing engineers that can't fit into the current societal demands. So you also made mention of equipment, and this is one area. I'm also
Yes.
working in the oil and gas, and one area we we always struggle with is the fact that there are a lot of manpower coming out of the university, but these people cannot fit into the industry. You can't just fix them because there is a wide gap between the way they are being taught in school and what is being required in the industry. Just like what you said during your CWES, that when you worked in the textile industry, you saw separators and some of this equipment. So you were able to relate, what you were being taught and what is being, how to apply or where those knowledge where that knowledge is being applied. If our educational system doesn't change, where do you see Nigerian engineers in the future?
Thank you very much. You see, our educational system needs to change. That is the truth. We need to compete with the global system. My teaching method, my relationship with students, the way I mark. So outcome-based education. That means you are doing what will be the outcome of that student you are teaching. The problem with Nigeria is that, there's what we call triple helix. The academia, the industry, and the government. These three must come together to make things work for our educational system. If you look at the budget, look at what is given to education. Thank God, and we have third phone today. Yes, the equipment. I'm managing things. It's an analytical profession. You have to prove it and see it real. It's practical. Engineering is not theoretical. So you need equipment. I'll tell you that you have students, I've taught PhD students, master students, undergraduates, since all these years. We have to be sending our samples to South Africa. Some of our students. So you agree with me that if these equipment are available within the reach, even if it's not in every school, but we can have a center, for example, in every geographical zone or geopolitical zone, however they want to categorize it. If you have a center, an analytical center, it's easier for students to go in there and analyze the problem, and the students will have the understanding. Why? Because they don't want liability. They want people who will contribute, who will put in their quota, who will add value, industrial experience. Look at the number of universities we have today. Look at the number of students we are turning out. Where is the job? That's one. When they go there's no place for sideways for them to do their sideways. Okay, they came back last week. I was in class and I asked my student, 500 level students, who came back now from industrial attachment, 6 months. I asked them, where and where did you do, so that we can have a project topic. If there was a problem where you did your IT, so that we now discuss how can you solve that problem? Or how can you provide an alternative to what is existing or what they are using there? 4 students in the class went to NNPC, Kaduna. And I said, what did you do? They were just laughing. I said, so you're just carrying file. They said, no file to even carry. They just go in the morning, relax, and come back. So tell me, where is that industry? What would they benefit from that? After all, we all know that the engineering is down. So it starts from the sideways. There's no practical experience. When they come back, they finish their NYC and they enter into the industry. That's why I see that even when the oil and gas employ them, they employ them through training. They say we are hiring young engineers. There's a training. So it's from the training. How well you're able to meet up with their demand during the training. That's what determines your employment. That was what Dangote did too when he was going to employ them. Because you need to fit into the industry. The industry themselves are not helping matter because they are not ready to take them for sideways. Where the students will be able to have practical experience. In the first place, the laboratories are not well equipped. There's no way you can equip the laboratory with all the equipment that you need. So there must be one available in one school, not available in the other school. Then you can do cross-carpeting, go there and do your practical, come back and do 1 or 2 things in your school. But when it's not available, what do you do? In my days, I told you that I went to Arewa Textile. Now students go for IT, sideways, just once. That's 400 level. So the current is trying to return back to 300 level and 400 level. Is among what they are introducing now for engineers, for engineering students. In my days, there was relationship between the university and the industry. We were not many, so there was placement for us. You don't go there, you are moving like NYC. Give me rejection letter. They give you rejection letter. You move to another place. Why? Why? It's because the country is sick. It's because there are no places to take them. So I just feel that something intentional has to be done. Something practical has to be done. One, to look at this. I know that students need to also develop themselves. But these academics, the government must consciously think of the student and the industry. If the, like I was discussing with somebody, I said, if current, because now current wants to do 1 year internship, like they do it in the medical profession, if they do it, if they can get the engineering students into the industries to do this 1 year internship, I mean, it's going to be a great plus to the profession. And I pray it happens, because there's nothing like practical. In the class is the theory, but you see the practical in the field. So if things are not done, it should be something about, I think things are on the pipeline. I mean, made a press release on this 1 year internship after graduation. So, and I'm sure if they can secure industry for them, and the industry relevant to your field, it's a lot of work. Oh. It's a lot of work. If they can secure internship relevant to your field for that 1 year, you agree with me that the story and the status quo of engineers and young engineers in Nigeria will change for better.
Yes, ma'am. That's
Thank
correct. Yeah. Thank you so much for that insight. You know, one of the reasons why we tend to
you.
have this insight with people like you is because you are in the system. We are not in the system. We don't know exactly where the school is pushing and all of that. So in terms of, you said something that the academia, industry and the government need to align to bridge this gap. Now the government alone is another institution. Now let's look at um, the industry and the tertiary institution. In what way these two um, can these two bodies align, apart from the fact that Korean is trying to do something, but until we get there, we are not there yet. So, in what way do you see um, the tertiary institutions or the academia and um, the industry? In what way can they align in, if we say the barest minimum?
Okay. One, the industries have to know, very important, that the workforce that is needed, that they need, is from the universities. Is these students when they graduate? And then the university also have to know that the students that they are producing, they are workforce to an organization, which is the industries. So there has to be collaboration between both of them. I want to tell you something because I go for accreditation, current accreditation. One of the things that current put in place is that there must be industry academic relationship collaboration. If the industry agree to send one person or the other to take a course, or they are part of the board. There's a board that must be set up by the department, each engineering department. And in that board, there must be somebody from the industry, there must be alumni, members. You know, some schools, like my school, for example, now we have a lot of alumni who are in position. they have graduated many years now. So some of them will be on that board. They know they've gone outside, so they know what is expected. So it's part of the requirement that current gives to departments that want to be accredited under the OBE presently. But like I said during our days, there was relationship. The VC, maybe because we were not many or at those early stage, there was a relationship between the industry and the, the university. So we were sent to those universities industry because they were expecting us. So I think what should be done is this. The student in the university, there should be student liaison office, student industrial liaison office. In the university, because we're looking for the way forward, if the university can visit some industries through their alumni members, visit some industries and have a relationship, an MOU or an agreement to take some students for IT or to allow them to come for industrial visits so that they will see the practicality of what they are being taught. It will go a long way to help the students to even sharpen their thinking and about their field. I didn't know what chemical engineers were doing or what they are supposed to be doing when I said I was going to read engineering, because I didn't have knowledge of engineering. I didn't even know what they do. I didn't know what engineers were doing then. I remember when the result came out, I was told to go and do civil engineering. And I said, civil? What do they do? They said that they want building. You know what I told them? I said, I don't want to carry concrete on my head. Because I didn't have the understanding that civil engineers are not laborers. They are not the ones that carry concrete on their head. So this thing has to be, let the student know what is expected, and then they go there. So the university management must go beyond what they are doing. And that is to get to the industries, map out industries, and have a collaboration. There's what we call advancement office in the universities. They liaise with, they are the intermediary between the university authority and the alumni that have graduated. So if they are in position, that office can be of help. It can be utilized for that. Or consciously, the university should have an office, a desk officer that is responsible to visit some of these industries and discuss with them. And then the industry should be open. They should open their door. Most of this industry, their doors are closed. You don't easily see them. They only bring out adverts, when they want to do their training, That's just what the government, whether you are Total Energy, you are Chevron, you are what, you are under the NCDMB in Nigeria, under the government. There's no company that is not under the government of the nation. So the government can do that and say, look, this and this is what should be done. You have a percentage of around where you are located. Some of these companies will not bother because they are not compelled. They feel it's not by force. So that's part of the issue. Like the grant I said we had when I was in the UK. Look, this industry, they come to the university because they know that is where solution to their problem is. They come to the universities to find out about researches that are going on. And when they see any research of interest, they put in their money, they put in their dollars, they put in their pounds. In Nigeria, the industries go to the universities? They don't. They don't go. So if we want to change, things must change. There's an adage in my place that says, if you finish eating and you want to wash your hand and you want it to be clean, you will use both hands. So there is need for both academia and industry to rub their hands together, rub their minds, and think of the future of these young engineers, young scientists, and the future of this country.
Well said, Ma. That's a very deep insight. With regards to this, I also studied chemical engineering, and I'm also part of the system. And it troubles me when I know that what I passed through, there are thousands of young engineers that are going to pass through the same thing. But before I get to the main question I want to ask, do you think one of the main reasons why these companies are running away is because um, what is being taught is purely theoretical? So, for instance, I studied chemical engineering. I graduated from FUTO, and one of the core softwares we need as a chemical engineer is Aspen and Excel. But do you know that right from 100 level up to 500, we never used any of these softwares before. We didn't come across it. So if sometimes maybe the company feels these people are just liabilities, like because everything they are being taught is just theoretical. You can't an undergraduate cannot confidently produce a process flow diagram, cannot confidently develop a simple P&ID. So if you go into process design, cannot comfortably do some of all these things. So sometimes they now feel, this person coming here now for IT after 6 months or 1 year will invest in him or her, and maybe they are going to disappear because manpower is involved. They are going to take up space, do something. Basically, they are not even adding any value to the company. They are just taking, and you still pay them stipend. And after that training, there's a high possibility you won't see 70% of them. And you do that yearly. So do you think this might also be a reason why some of these companies don't take CUS students?
I talked about method of teaching. The lecturers also need to come up. There's, technological advancements. There's ease. You do things now with ease, softwares and whatnot. But if you don't train yourself as a lecturer, it's part of the things I tell the younger ones, young engineers. Don't be waiting for somebody to train you. I, as a lecturer, when I went to the UK, I didn't know some of this software before going. But you know, when I got to the UK, I didn't tell them, I didn't do it like somebody, I know it all. I'm a lecturer. No, I didn't do that. I came down to the level, humbled myself, and I had the best of the softwares. And I have packages of the software that I update regularly that are with me, that I use. I had a colleague who also came 2 years after me to the same university in Newcastle. And when he was bragging and saying, no, he's a lecturer, you can't do this. They rejected him. That's why they cannot supervise him. After 2 years, he left UK. He went to Malaysia to go and start afresh because he didn't humble himself to learn. So that's one thing. We need to train ourselves. We need to retrain, train and retrain again. But the truth is this. If you look at what ASU is fighting for, this is one of the points. The more you in training yourself, you need finance. How much are you taking home that you can afford? There's a workshop. If I wanted to do, I know it's not part of my field, but I just wanted to do it. That project management as an engineer. I know how to manage project. I've handled it before, but I wanted a certificate. Then I'm told to pay 350,000 for a course of 2 months. So how much is my salary? How do I live? How do I pay rent? How do I do all these things? So these are part of what we put across. For you to be able to train and pay for yourself. You asked me a question. How was I able to pay? If I didn't get PTDF to go to UK, do you think I could have been able to go? First degree was parents and uncle. Masters was, I struggled alone with the mega salary. And then the second masters, the university pays school fees. So how would I have been able to? So that is one. But I'm saying that we lecturers also need to upgrade regularly. And then the students, I tell my students, you have phones in your hands. You can download any software you want. Learn it yourself. You're supposed to know things. Help yourself. Don't wait for the teacher. The teacher is not teaching. You know these are software that you need. Please teach yourself. Take time to learn it because you will need it tomorrow. And then this Excel sheet we are talking about, as simple as it is, do you know you can use Excel for a lot of things? You can use it for even aspect, you can use it for MATLAB, just Excel. Excel is a very rich tool, but most people, the only thing they know about Excel is to plot, is to put in values, use for addition or subtraction, and then maybe to draw graph. Even the graph, not complex graph, but you can use Excel to draw complex graph. AutoCAD, SolidWorks, in fact, like SolidWorks is a regular visit, but you know SolidWorks is even an outdated software. There are recent softwares now that you can use, but you have to go with the trend of technology that we have. So the industries that are not taking them because of this, that is why the industry need to make their input. And then the academic need to take it up, the input of the industry, and include it into the curriculum.
Okay. I said my company, name of my company is REnT Engineering Trainings. And one of the things we do is to bridge the gap between the academia and the industry. So what we do is we run affordable trainings. And one of our targets is to bring these industry trainings into school curriculum. When industries employ young engineers, they always go through graduate training program, which is to give them the basic industry training. Now, our analysis is this: before you are being called for graduate training, you must have gone for NYSC, which is 1 year. So 1 year of your time needs to be burnt before you stand a chance to get into it. And maybe after 1 year, you now have the opportunity to get into a graduate training. Now, this is 2 years of somebody's life being on hold for the person to get into the oil and gas because of skill set problem. Now, what our company is proposing, or we want to propose to tertiary institution, why don't we bring this industry training and infuse it into the course curriculum? And we want to start with chemical engineering because I study chemical engineering. I wasn't happy with the fact that I left chemical engineering, and I wasn't proud of my course because I literally didn't know what they do. Apart from when I went for a process engineering design training after I finished school. So it opened my eyes to what chemical engineering was. As a chemical engineer, when you get into the oil and gas, you are basically into process engineering. You carry out your line sizing, and all of that. So what I intend proposing this to Federal University of Technology, Owerri, because that's where I graduated from. But during this call, I said, okay, you mentioned something in line with that. So I'm looking. Do you think this is something that can fly, or schools we adopt?
If something is a good idea, and it will solve a lot of problems. You see, today they are doing CPT in JAM. Even now in schools, 100 level, because of their large number, they do this online exam and all whatnot. It came out from few students who came together. They are graduates and thought about it. What's this called then? Is it the executive secretary of JAM? Was then the executive secretary of NECO in Mina, Niger State. And this group of students, they were guys, I think there are 5 or 6 of them, came together, met him in Mina and told him about this. They were electrical computer students. He said, no, he discarded the idea. He said it will not work. No, the number is too large. How would they do it? But you see, these students, this group of people have studied, they have watched that. So when this man left NECO, he went to, the government transferred him to JAM. As the ES, they visited him again. And he decided to give it a trial. Today, everywhere is CPT exam, CPT computer-based tests, computer-based exam. That's what's everywhere. So is a very good idea. And the school should be able to, when you do this, it's good you are using Owerri as a case study. The success of that is announced in other places. You move ahead to other schools. And then when you move to one or two schools and you have seen it done, you go to AUC. AUC is the body for the other universities. So AUC now begin to tell these universities, maybe you now have it zone by zone in a central place, and the school in these zones will come, do the training, the another zone will do. So you don't even have to go to the, maybe the schools again, or you could still go to the schools. Do it around, but when AUC now comes in, it becomes mandatory that all the universities, both private and government, should do this, just like we do industrial attachment for industrial training.
Yeah.
The software is a very important aspect in teaching and learning. But there are some people today, some are even senior guys, senior lecturers, but you still have analog. Meanwhile, when you talk about digital, the students have gone higher because you see them 24/7 with their laptop and they are doing one thing or the other. It's only that some of them are not investing into learning of skills. But for our education standard to meet up, because these skills, they are hard to learn them all in the UK. Most of these softwares, just like you said, you hardly hear of it. Okay, I heard of MATLAB, but it was like a story. Aspen is, you recently started hearing of it, but some don't even know it. Python, you talk about Python, then when we look at it, when I was in school, we were seeing Python as only a computer language. And that is not applicable to engineering. Because the person who taught us does not even know the applicability of it to engineering. So it's like that, but the teaching is taking a different turn now. Everybody needs to train and be retrained. And particularly these young ones who are, I tell my the young graduates, even students, please learn, relearn, unlearn, learn again. You just have to. A mind that stopped learning, that mind is already dying. And with the technology we have now, you cannot afford not to meet up with the standard. And that is why there's issue with the oil companies and the students. Even when they do graduate training, you see they call a lot of them. Not that all the people that they call, they don't want to come into the oil company, but some of them could not withstand or successfully to the standard that has been set. They couldn't meet up.
Yeah,
And they
that's
want to
true.
work in oil company. Yeah, they couldn't meet up. If they all meet up and they did very well, then we take them. Because you see, they are thinking of replacements. They are thinking of when the old ones go out, these younger ones are trained, they're able to come in. I know the younger ones are more energetic and they can work. You can give them instruction. You can post them into different places in a month, 5 into 5, 10 divisions or areas or sections. You can't do the old ones like that. So they will be ready to take a lot. But not all of them can meet up the standard that has been set by the company, even when they do the training.
Okay,
So
I have a question.
Okay. Will you ask the question now or I should end first?
Okay, yeah, you can end.
Okay, a prior training in these things will help them to be relevant to the oil and gas and to be relevant to themselves. Even if you don't enter oil and gas, anywhere you find yourself, you'll be relevant to the society. You add value to where you are. Even if you are in a classroom, like I am, you will add value. Like for example, my students know I'm a different kind of lecturer. You enter my class every day, we are taking quiz. That's my attendance. So you must be fluent with me. And then I give you topic. You come and present seminars. And you present using PowerPoint. So whether you like it or not, you must learn how to use PowerPoint. And when you are doing
Yeah.
PowerPoint, you must learn how to mix colors. You must learn how to use which font. You must the font size, font type. So I'm not automatically teaching you all these things. Okay, so your question.
Okay. Um, you know, like I said earlier on when we started, you can't give what you don't have. One of the reasons you are now using PowerPoint slide and your
Yes.
method of teaching is different is because you have upgraded.
Okay, there are two ways, right? If it's for lecturers, the student can bear the school can bear the body for the finance. How? You see, we have some people coming in like now, things have improved. You have all of a sudden they tell you that there's a workshop. You go and attend the workshop, 3 days workshop. I've attended, I'm an engineer, but they did one they call SPSS. In serving is an analytical tool, mostly for large data, for people who are not in engineering. But later I discovered that when they said I should go and attend, I felt I'm an engineer, I don't need it. I'm not in this chemistry or all this mathematics department. But when I got there, to be sincere, I went there reluctantly. But when I got there, I discovered that as an engineer, I can use it because engineers deal also with large data. And I learned it. Additionally, now to me, I know how to use SPSS. So I didn't pay, but the school authority paid the organization. So there are two ways. It's either to do a training for the staff. The proposal should meet the need of the staff. You look at the deficiency and you handle it. You target it in the proposal. The university, you have a discussion with the university will look at it and they will support it because it's the need of the hour. Proposal depends on your presentation and the contents. And when I'm going to do a proposal for when Simbi was the executive secretary of NCDMB. And by the time I finished, he looked at me. I went with my entourage. I was the president of Appoint then. I'm a STEM person for girls. And I finished talking. Before they said they don't have money, this. We said, okay, but let us just come and do our presentation. And I did my presentation with a PowerPoint, with evidences, with facts, and then with the budgets. Well articulated and presented. There had no choice. Even at that meeting, presence of all his directors, he said, I can see that we have to sponsor this project. If you can't sponsor, she has presented 5 projects, but we're going to sponsor 2 of the projects. And I want to tell you, they gave us good millions for each of the projects. If it's that of the students in taking them, the university, because the student is large, the number is large. If you want to start with chemical, yes, you want to do with chemical, maybe you can decide to go through the HOD and then, or the student union, or the HOD of let me take department now, of the chemical engineering department with the NSCHE student wing. Let them see. Then the student can decide, oh, we have a workshop. It's costing us maybe 5,000 everybody. They have money within them in their coffer. So they can decide to say, if you are interested, you register. And you come, you deliver that. Some students, I know some alumni did something like, I think I was invited, but I couldn't make it. But they gave me the invitation, and that is what was in. It has to do with being a master of your own after graduation, something like that. And each student pays some amount, and then they did the program for them. So it depends on how you want to take it and how you want to go. But you must make sure that your proposal, let them see it as a need, something that cannot be done without, something that is needed for them to gain employment, and something that is also needed for the lecturers to be able to teach the students effectively, because you cannot give what you don't have. I don't know if you got my explanation.
Thank you so much, Ma. The last question before we wrap this up. With your experience outside the shores of Nigeria, what's your advice for young engineers?
Okay, thank you very much. I gained a lot outside Nigeria. And I know one thing is that if for the young engineers, the hard truth is this: they have to be willing to learn, to build up themselves. They have to be willing to learn. The young and outside the country, there's, you know, if if for example you feel that you have your first degree, that is not the finishing line. Your first degree is just a foundation. Yes, you came out with the best CGPA. It's important, but it's not enough on its own. So for us to be honest with ourselves, they have to make sure deliberately they build practical skills. Practical skills is very important. If it's not the theory that works, but it's the ability to turn your CGPA that was very high into practical. So you must be able to study, have enough knowledge, build up yourself in practical skills. We've mentioned some of them. For example, you know, we talk a lot about simulation, and you need software to simulate. We talk about data or an engineer, a young engineer. You should go beyond Excel. It's not just Excel sheets. You should go beyond Excel. Then you must be good in technical writing and report preparation. You know, a lot of young engineers now, they don't write well. You want to read, okay, I'm here with a colleague who is assessing a PhD student from another school. He said when he opened it like this, he was discouraged because the grammar alone. You see, when it's technicality and there's grammar, if you are to focus on the grammar, you will lose out of the technical. If you are to focus on the technical aspect, the technical will not flow well because the grammar is wrong. So these two must go together. And I discovered that we engineers, we are not serious about technical writing, report writing. You must prepare to write your report and do it well. And I want to tell the young graduate that, look, if you graduate with only classroom knowledge, you will struggle. Though it's normal initially, but it's also avoidable. You can avoid this struggling. You can. And for young engineers, I want to advise them, please learn how to learn. Those is your superpower. Learn how to learn. Develop the habits. Read very well. Know about standard. Read your manual. You see an engineer who just bought something from the market or from the shop. He gets, or from a shopping mall. You just get home, you plug, or you do something, then you see it damaged. Why? You didn't take time to read the manual. So you must read manuals for your experiments. Look, you must ask why instead of memorizing formula. Many of the young engineers now, students want to just memorize. Learn to speak or break complex problems. If a problem is complex, learn to break it into simple parts that you can address one after the other. If an engineer who writes faster, they are not the brilliant ones, though. No, but the adaptable ones are the brilliant engineers. You must be able to adapt. So, and for you to adapt, you must learn to learn and learn. You're learning, that's the day you start dying. Because your brain can't work again. So you must have a habit, develop the habits. You must have an ability to pick something quickly. And one thing I also learned, and I want to encourage them, is that they shouldn't wait for industry to train them. Don't wait for anybody to train you. I told you I went to UK for PhD, but I came back with 2 different degrees. And I did the second one by chance because I knew that I'm in academics. So I knew I would need it. And some of this software, I learned them in that very class. Having a PhD in effective and advanced teaching for students. So you have to know that. That is very important. Train yourself. We're just talking about going to schools now, get the student to see the importance of these things so that they will be ready. We cannot just say, bring out your phone. It's more expensive than my own phone as a lecturer. So you must pay money to train yourself. This phone, the people doing it, they know that another, this is coming. After 1 year, they give you another, because they want you to be upgrading and they want to be selling. But develop yourself. They are developing their brain and they are making money. You develop yourself to make money. And I also want to encourage the young engineers that we need to learn how to communicate. If you don't know how to communicate, it becomes a problem. Communication either makes you succeed as an engineer or it breaks you and it breaks your career. Because you should be able to use technical languages to explain your ideas, to write a clean report, and to speak confidently in the meeting. Some can't speak well. They are not confident, and you need to build up this. These are things you build up. Nobody will build it up for you. Your writing, you need to build up. You know, our young engineers, or young ones generally, they use shorthand now. If you are reading, you send WhatsApp message, you see the way they use. If they want to write you, Y-O-U, they write only you. That's a letter. That is not a word. And they get used to it. So you see me when I'm marking some scripts, I see such thing when I'm marking. And I just laugh. I laugh. If it's before I went for my PhD, when I see such thing, I just give you 0 and cancel it. But now, I put question mark. I just tell you I don't understand what you have said. I put question mark. Because what is you? You is a letter. And you're supposed to write Y-O-U. So they need to understand that communication is important. If you ask senior engineers today, they will tell that they are being paid for ability to communicate the work, the projects, ability to communicate what they have in mind to contribute to the advancement of the company. That's what they are being paid for. So you must learn to express yourself. And young engineers, look, you need to be humble. There's need to be humble. Leave your ego behind. Put the ego down, please. Put the ego down. Ask questions without any shame. Admit when they say you don't know it, please. Nobody knows it all. If you fail, it's not the end. It's just a way of doing another chance for you to say you can do it in another way. You learn from technicians, you learn from operators, learn from people. I learn from people that are under me, people that are above me. I learn from them. So please learn. And I like them to know one thing, that the most dangerous engineer is the one who is confident but ignorant. They are not teachable. You must be teachable. You must have respect. You don't know a thing and you claim you know it. It's an act of ignorance. It's an act of ignorance. Please, young engineers, try, let's leave our ego behind. Ask questions. If you ask questions, definitely nobody will put you down. Don't be ashamed to ask. And then you need to choose a skill. Choose your skill. It's not your title. Data engineer or whatever you are, please make sure. So I want to encourage them with these young engineers. With what I've gone through, with what I've seen outside the country, I see that when I'm in the class outside the country, they're not ashamed to ask any question. There was even a day one boy told me, he said, they were doing practical in the class. And he told me, he said, he doesn't feel like doing this practical today. I said, why? He said he wants to go and smoke. I said, really? He said, yeah. So I said, okay. He went there because I was able to absorb that.
Oh God.
Yes,
Wow.
I was able to absorb that because I've gone through the diploma in advanced teaching and learning. That's what, and I released him to go. He went to smoke. And when he came back after an hour, he told me, thanks, I'm ready to come into the lab. I said, you are free to. What matters to me is that I will stop at the time we're supposed to stop. So whatever you did is what I will mark. No stress. So that's the thing. So you relate to them in a different way. There was even a time one of them sent a message. It was an email. I sent a message to my supervisor, who is one of the courses I'm taking, that he passed. And I said, he failed. That is score more than what I've given him. By what I scored, he didn't do too well. So, and then they sent me an email. I was in the office that day, and I saw from my supervisor. I said, Elizabeth, this person has this problem. This is his complaint. I said, okay, no problem. Let him come. I'll give him his scripts. Let him mark. I'll give him the marking scheme. Let him mark, and whatever he score himself, we'll look at it together. So he said, that's fine. And then the boy came to my office. I brought out his script. He had his seat. I gave him his script. He searched for it himself. He brought out his script. I gave him the marking scheme. And I told him, okay, you can do the marking now. He marked. And by the time he marked, he saw that he got lower than what I gave him. He marked himself and scored lower. So he told me, said, I'm very sorry. I said, no problem, but go and write the email back, put it in an email, copy copy Adam, that's my supervisor. You copy me, and then you copy the department secretary. And that's what the boy did. So there's transparency. But you can't do that. Before I left for UK, you come and tell me that in Nigeria. I won't even listen to you. But you see, that made me to have that you must have a relationship with your students.
Yeah.
And then you must know that you don't just fail them. They have the right to ask you. They have the right to say, I think I should pass. I shouldn't fail. If you are so sure, then let the student see the script. If not, then you tell the student, or you check, and then you upgrade and explain. No stress. It's not where a student is shut down. Pam. No. However, you must not cross your boundary.
Yes.
You must not cross boundary. Yes. They make sure the student don't cross their boundary. But you must have a relationship. And I want to tell the truth, my brother, that has helped me. I came back 2013 to today. Last week, I told them there's a course I'm to take. I can only handle 20 something. Do you know that all the students, is an elective? I said that should go and do other electives. And there are 2 classes. One, they are 67, another one, they are 130. All of them want to do the elective. And I told them, you want me to die before my time? How will I mark? I will give you quiz, I will do this. Please go and do the other elective. They said, no. I said, oh, why do you want to do this course? They said, want to do it because of you. I said, no, it shouldn't be because of me. It should be that you have something you want to benefit that you are going to use outside this university. Because it has to do with a petroleum course, petrochemical. So they said, okay. I said, that is how I'm going to drop you people. When we meet next week, I will ask everyone, tell me why you want this course. And if really you can justify, you remain my student. If you can't justify why you need this course, you go and do the other course as elective. So it's like that. So you know that if I'm not taking you, then there's that relationship. There's down to earth. I have listening ears for students. And that has helped me a lot, that I have relationship with my students. I can tell you that in the school, every day, even with every day, the least number of referee letters that I send outside Nigeria, within Nigeria, in a week, maybe nothing less than 10.
Wow.
Nothing less than 10. Different students that I can remember and I cannot remember. I don't give restriction. When you just say, please, I want to use a referee, I say, please go ahead. For you to have thought of me to be your referee, that means you have done something good to you, or you are good. So that's my advice to them, please. They should make sure Communication is very important. To be sincere, engineering students, our communication is bad. Our writing is bad. All those shorthand have spoiled us. You write short things, WhatsApp, English, you come and put it in your writing. You need software. You need to build up yourself. Don't be carried away by your CGPA. No. It's just a foundation. It's not the finishing line. First degree is not the finishing line. You still have a lot to do, a lot to go.
Yeah.
That's my candid advice to them.
Okay. What about your fellow lecturers?
Okay, my fellow lecturers, my advice is that we should be open. We should also learn and relearn. There's always room for improvement, room for learning. Age is not a barrier when it comes to learning. And then we should have relationship with our students. I want to tell you that when I talk about method of teaching, it's because if a student knows that if he comes to your class, he or she will not be victimized. He or she will not, not be hard on the person. The student will want to come to your class regularly. And if while you are teaching, your class is not boring, it's interactive, it's contributive, then you see that the students want to come. They want to come. And when they come, you take your lectures and then you go. But also, we should let them know that there's need for skill acquisition. And we too should try to acquire these skills to help us in passing information to these students. As we improve ourselves, like now we know that data is the in thing, AI is the in thing, software is the in thing. Before, when you talk to me also about, that we want to do simulation and whatnot, we just first of all used to ask that, what are you simulating even? This, but now you discover that simulation helps you to scale up. So when you do when students do simple experiment, laboratory experiment, you can only scale up by simulation. And then it's going to be like process intensification. You do a large process in a small scale. So these things are software that we need. I want to also say that we as lecturers need also to improve on our teaching methods, our assessment methods, our relationship with our students. I mean, it should be cordial that a student will want to come to your class. And when they're in your class, they learn. My own way of making sure my students learn while in the class is that you learn, you be attentive. Is that at the end or in the middle of the teaching, I just call for a quiz. And that quiz is what we have taught from when I enter the class to the point that we are asked to that question. So if you are not attentive, then you won't pass that quiz. So it keeps us 3 minutes. Just one, and I mark it, I record it, and I give them back their scripts. So if you are in my class, you can't sleep. You must be awake because it is this course that will amount to your final score. It's going to be your continuous assessment. See, so I want to encourage all my colleagues that I know that you need money. We need money to get ourselves trained, but let us spend money to train ourselves, so that we'll better our lives. Because the more we train ourselves, the better we become. And very relevant. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ma, for your time. I can say that this session or interview has been insightful. I have learned a lot.
Thank you.
One striking thing you said was the most dangerous engineer is that confident engineer but ignorant. Yeah, I grabbed that. So there's there's a saying that if you think education is expensive, try ignorance.
Ignorance.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your time, and I appreciate you dedicating. We have had this interview for about 2 hours, and it's like we shouldn't stop, but we have to stop. Thank you so
Yeah.
much, Ma. I
You're
really
welcome.
appreciate it. Yeah.
Thank God. And thank you for inviting me. Thank you for this time. I appreciate you as well.
Thank you, man.